Yo, YouTube, what's going on? It's your boys of Elite, and we are back with another video. Guys, whoa, I haven't even started the intro yet, and you're already booing me? Jeez, come on, guys, come on now. I mean, I get it. This is about to be a controversial video. You already know from the title, the 15 best Call of Duty pros in Modern Warfare right now. I mean, again, do not skip ahead this intro because we're going to explain the foundation for why I'm choosing what I'm choosing. I know a lot of you guys skip ahead and then miss the reasoning for why these guys end up going where they're going here. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's go. So of course, like I say in all of these rankings videos, there are so many factors at play here in how you rank players, how you're approaching the top 15 list. So here's the criteria for what I'm grading these guys off of. So I'm grading them as if there was a tournament this weekend. We're not going to debate LAN or online at this point because we literally haven't seen some of these guys play on LAN before in the pro scene. So there's just no reason to like debate whether or not which type of tournament it's going to be. We're just overall saying if there's a tournament this upcoming weekend, who are the 15 best players in Modern Warfare that you would want to build your team with without considering any type of chemistry? So that's kind of the thought going into this. There's so many factors to consider. Of course, like I talked about in the tier ranking video, which you haven't go watch that, I tier ranked every single Call of Duty player. Obviously, this is hashing out kind of like the top 2 tiers in that video for the most part, except for a few guys. They're going to get, unfortunately, missing the cut here. But like I mentioned in that video, I mean, ARs, statistically, of course, ARs, they benefit from KD in this game because they're able to sweep up a lot of these kills. There's sometimes only one AR on the map for each team, and so they can sweep up some kills, and that's why a lot of main ARs have some really nice KDs overall. So those are things you have to consider, is weighting those roles and what gun these guys are using. And then of course there's the difference between flexing on some maps versus using only an SMG on all maps. And then of course the role that you play for your team matters a lot, because one specific team you might play at a certain role that limits your upside statistically, but realistically you're nasty and you're a big reason for why your team is winning. And so that all has to be considered when doing this top 15 list, because this can get controversial really quick. All it takes is one guy and we're all leaving tons of comments down below. So without further ado, I appreciate you guys hanging there for the intro. There's a lot to talk about here to clarify all that, but let's get finally into the top 15 players of Modern Warfare. Think about how many players we had to talk about and consider for this 15th spot. There were a lot of guys since this past weekend, since post CDL Paris. There is a lot of change with how some of these guys have played, especially when it comes to like the Mutineers. That's kind of the obvious one. And as how some of these other teams played, all of the season will be considered, maybe a little bit of potential of their upside from past games. But realistically, again, if I'm building a team this week, who are the 15 players I'm looking at to build that team, and we're ranking them inside there. So I know there's going to be some controversy with some of these guys, like maybe an 8 or 9 or a 10 or 11 or like a 6 and a 5, or some of these guys could be flipped around. Of course they could be flipped around. There's some really good arguments both ways. Here we go at 15. This was incredibly difficult, by far the toughest spot to pick, because there was maybe like 6 or 7 guys I was kind of sifting through here like, all right, man, this is getting tough really quick. At 15, I went with Formal. So at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about some of these guys got left out and then some of the reasoning behind it. I don't want to give away everything so far because I know there's a handful of guys that potentially could end up here that you think might be at 15 as well. Formal, of course, is a fantastic main AR. He does a lot for the Huntsmen to help them be successful. I know he's had his moments where he struggled this year. His worst series, which really lowered his season stats. If you're going straight off of a statistical argument, if you take away his one event where he wasn't running the main AR, his stats are right up there with some of the best in the game this year. And sure, there's been moments where he hasn't been great and he's had his down games. I mean, basically every single player has at this point throughout the year had their down events and down series as a whole. But overall, Formal's been an incredibly consistent player. And of course, one of the best of all time. He's at number 15 on the list. At number 14 is debatably the most difficult player to rank on the whole list. This player is part of the back-to-back champions in the Call of Duty League. Of course, on the Mutineers, that is Mr. Big Wake himself. Owakening is at number 14. So I know a handful of you guys have already flown down to the comments, typing out your response to why Owakening is better than 14th. But again, this is because I'm still hedging my bets with where Owakening is as a player. Obviously, he's come in insanely hot. It's ridiculous how good he's come in already. He's sitting at a 1.17 KD and a 1.12 adjusted KD, which of course is up there with some of the best inside both categories. But we've only seen a few events from Owakening. So next time we do this top 15 list will probably be in a handful of months. I would highly imagine that Owakening could easily find himself significantly farther up the list after the next few events. At number 13 is the big man himself, Alec. Absolute tank. Obviously him, Formal, and Scump were all really tough to hash out and figure out where they stand on this list. And Arcitys is at number 13, an absolute monster. The success that they've had and the variety of roles that Arcitys plays for this team is so crucial for the Huntsman's success, and overall shows his versatility and his talent as a player. Number 13 on the list. So at number 12, this is another one of the really tough players to judge on this list because he started off the year so hot. I mean, he was a top 5 locked and loaded player at the beginning of the year. The past 6 to 8 weeks though, really since they started moving online, the Minnesota Rokkr haven't been the same, and so he's been slowly dropping down this list. For their sake, I hope Champs is on land so that maybe we can see the Rokkr of the beginning of the year, but GodRx is at number 12. Again, 6 weeks ago, this dude was inside the top 6 for sure, probably at 5 or maybe even 4. Because the Rokkr have been struggling, he personally has been struggling the past handful of events as well. You got to drop him down the list at least a little bit. Number 12 feels about right for him, but he's a fantastic player nonetheless. It just keeps getting spicier, man. At number 11 is a player that I think a lot of you guys are probably going to want higher on the list. It's hard to say though because there's so many good players, man. This is Fero at number 11. Another reason for why the Florida Mutineers are on fire these past few weeks. They've been insane, and Fero has been disgusting. We all talked about Fero at the beginning of the year, that the fact that he wasn't on a pro team was just a robbery. It was a crime that he wasn't on a pro roster at the beginning of this season. Finally, the Mutineers take the advantage to pick him up, and they realized how good he was. They dropped Priestahh for Fero because they realized Fero was just that good, and he has absolutely proven it as time has passed. And these past 2 weeks, he's been even nastier. So number 11 is an easy spot for him. And again, by the end of the year, at this rate that the Mutineers are going, all of them could end up inside the top 10 at this point easily. And of course, Fero could find himself inside the top 5 if the Mutineers keep up this pace. So now, inside the top 10 here, at number 10, we have a Beezy. So I know statistically, you're going to look at Fero, you're going to look at GodRx, you're going to look at Arcitys, even maybe Awakening, and be like, what, bro, come on now. You know, these guys are definitely better than a Beezy. But if I'm building a team to compete in a tournament this week, I want a Beezy on this team. I mean, a Beezy's pace, his ability to play with his teammates, and how willing he is to play the toughest roles in the game to sacrifice for his teammates. He doesn't care about the stats as long as they're winning, and he's playing this entry role about as good as anybody in the game. He's so good in that role, and when they're at their best, he's probably even higher up on this list. So I have no problem putting a Beezy at number 10. So here we go, man. These were some tough ones as well. These next two, I could have gone either way with them. At number 9 is Mack. Mack Melts joined the New York Subliners just a few weeks ago, and they have made a complete U-turn from where they were before, with 0, with then Happy, then bringing on Mack. Mack has just been a tank since he's got here. I mean, he has a 1.12 KD since he started playing. He has a 1.13 adjusted KD. He's been valuable in all game modes, hardpoint, S&D, Dom, and overall, man, Mack completely changed the format of this team, and in my opinion is definitely in the MVP race. And especially if they can get a dub in one of these last few tournaments, Mack Melts is an impact player. And in Modern Warfare, I know we can't really say what he's like on land, but in Modern Warfare Online, this guy is nasty, and he's just definitely a top 10 player right now. So at number 8, this was a really tough back and forth for me trying to decide where these guys are at, but I went with the more proven success of Envoy at number 8. He could easily be inside the top 6. I would have no problem if somebody put him inside the top 6, but Envoy is the playmaker for the Huntsmen. When they need that last kill in the hardpoint, when they need a spawn, when they need to secure some map control, Envoy's always there for the Huntsmen in the right spot to make a play. His S&D, he's such a little rat in S&D. He's always running around the map, hitting flanks, doing the dirty insertion destroy to make dubs happen. I mean, he single-handedly won the Huntsman multiple rounds, multiple games this year in S&D because of the plays that he makes. I mean, he's a force to be reckoned with on the map, all over the place. And I could easily put Envoy higher on this list. I would have absolutely no problem with that one bit. At number 7, I'm not sure if this is controversial or not, but I know their team has not been winning, but him personally, when he's motivated to play, he's disgusting. We've seen the peak of Slasher here at number 7. I know for a fact some of you guys are like, Slasher, yo, OpTic sucks. Like, what? You're putting it inside the top 7? But the thing is, man, he has the kill record on Ramaza. We've seen him absolutely dominate some search and destroys this year. When he wants to play, he's disgusting. And if I'm building a team like right now in Modern Warfare, of course I would have Slasher near the top of my list for players to get because he is nasty and one of the best ARs in the game for sure. At number 6 is probably the best sniper in Call of Duty right now. That's Wuskins. The dude can absolutely dominate a map in Search and Destroy, but we've seen him dominate the maps in Respawn as well. He has a 1.23 KD and a 1.23 adjusted KD, so he's incredibly valuable all over the map in all 3 game modes. The dude fries and has carried London through multiple series this year. If the rest of the London squad could start clicking and figuring things out, I can't imagine the damage that Wuskins would be doing as the leader of this team, as the foundation for this team right now with their main AR. Again, he's running the main AR, but he's doing it just as good as basically anybody in the league right now. I mean, Wuskins is just really, really good at Modern Warfare. So I'll be interested to see what you guys think of this one. We've got Skies at number 5. I know a lot of you guys out there, you know, you remember like Skies. Maybe if you haven't been paying as much attention to Call of Duty this year, and maybe you heard his name last year and floating around. He joined LG last year near the end of the year for Black Ops 4 and then found his way on the Mutineers. At the beginning of the year, he was frying. Then there was a little bit of a lull period right there when they were trying to figure things out. But these past few weeks, man, what in the world? Skies has been disgusting. Creating map control, holding down lanes, really just doing everything right for the Mutineers. The foundational piece for why the Mutineers have been so successful the past few weeks. And I would have never thought that I would be putting Skies inside the top 5 of a list at any point this year heading into the year, but his talent and the impact that he has on the map is undeniable at this point. And we've all got to recognize that for what he's doing, especially when the Mutineers are winning and dominating like they are. Skies is the foundational piece for their success. Number 5. At number 4 is the player that I feel like I may have underestimated the most inside the tier rankings video. I did not have Shotzzy inside my top 6 in the tier rankings video. Again, I clarified in the description that I would have him at maybe 7 or maybe higher than that. I mean, Shotzzy definitely didn't have his best event this weekend in Paris, but at the end of the day, Shotzzy has made an impact all over every single map for the Empire, and he's been the reason, the Slayer. He's been the change that the Empire have needed to become dominant. Of course, they're having some moments of a little bit of struggle right now as a team, but Shotzzy's at the core of their success, and every great team has their main lead Slayer, and Shotzzy is doing that for the Empire 100%. So now inside the top 3 here, we've got the guys thing that we all expect to be here. At number 3, we've got Octane, the main AR god. He's been absolutely nuts for Seattle all year long. He's been nuts in Black Ops 4. He's been nuts in World War II. He's been nuts for a long time now. And all of us, everyone in the COD scene just dreams of the potential, the damage, the absolute dominance that he could do on a team that wants to be there, a team that wants to succeed, a team that can succeed. It would be insane. But right now, even on a team that's struggling, putting themselves into bad positions, he's still frying and doing work. And on a game that he doesn't even like himself. I mean, it just shows that I still think he's the number 3 player in the league in a game that he's not even seemingly trying that hard in. That's the dominant potential that he has as a whole, and it's shown all year long. He is the man for Seattle, and he's holding them together at this point. 1 and 2 were really, really tough. I mean, when you think about it, it could go either way with what player's more valuable, but at the end of the day, I gave the tiebreaker to the player who uses the SMG full time. At number 2 is Celium. At number 1 is Simp. I mean, these guys have been absolutely insane all year long for Atlanta, which at the end of the day is really the difference between them and, like, you know, Shotzzy or Skies or Mack or Slasher or something like that. Though that's really the difference, is the consistently good play. And I don't think you can go wrong with either of these guys at number 1 or number 2. They're both insane. Their stats and their impact on the map speak for themselves. Every pro knows that these guys are consistently ridiculous, and they are just definitely the top players in the game right now. So with that said, there's the top 15. I know there's some controversial opinions in there, so let's talk about some of them. Obviously, the elephant in the room is that Scump is not inside the top 15. And so I think to the average person who's watched this whole year, who isn't inherently a Huntsman fan, I don't think they would expect Scump to be inside the top 15. Statistically, he has really struggled at times this year. He's been inconsistent. Search and Destroy has really been his bread and butter this year. But I mean, like last event, he really did struggle. I'm trying not to be too recently biased. At the end of the day, he's just been a little bit inconsistent. He's still a top 20 player for sure. He's right on the fringe. Same with Attach, same with Huke, you know, Priestahh or Major Maniac. Like, all of those guys were right on the fringe there, and guys who I really wanted to put inside the top 15, but they just barely missed the cut. So it's not like I hate these guys or I think they suck. I think they're really, really valuable pieces to teams that are crucial for a team's success. Again, they're still like top 20 players. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, for Scump, he's in his like, what, 400th season, and he's still a top 20 player in this league for sure. Like, that's insane. And who's to say that he doesn't go off at champs? He gets to champs and he drops a 1.3 KD at champs. That's entirely possible, and by no means out of the realm of possibility. But it's just overall, when it comes to consistency, what you expect out of a team building, week in and week out performances, all that matters inside of a top 15 list. And so that's why some of those guys just barely missed out on the top 15. Attach was the guy who I think Attach is horribly underrated this year. I don't think most people see him as a top 20 player, but I mean, you look at his stats as year long and the situations that him and his team have been in, he's consistently performed throughout the whole year. We even saw it last year with EG. He was underrated on EG last year in Black Ops 4 just because the team he was on. Again, he's been a really good player this whole season. And so I would have no problem with somebody putting Attach inside the top 15s. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was controversial. I know there's some dislikes on this video for sure. I know there's some comments down below that I probably won't want to read. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, like, comment, favorite, subscribe. I'm trying to do this full time, and I cannot do that without you guys. So I really do appreciate all the support. It really does mean a lot to me. But as always, guys, I'm your boy, Azhir Cave, and we will see you next time. I'm out.